Grab your popcorn, rip that ticket, get in that seat, lickety splicket, go watch a movie! Hello everyone and welcome to Go Watch a Movie episode 146. I'm Kelvin.
And I'm Robert.
Today we are continuing our Directors Appreciation Month, and we're back on my turn, and I am going with Kevin Smith's Red State. They said he couldn't do it. They said he was a one-trick pony. They said he didn't know camera work. Said all he could do was sit people down in a booth and have them talk at each other. This was his proving you wrong. Those naysayers, I'm going to shut you up. And this was also the film that after the whole Too Fat to Fly thing and the Zack and Mary failure, he came back with a boom and he took it on the road and he sold it himself and all that stuff. But yeah, Red State, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into that, a little bit of entertainment news. First and foremost, for some odd reason, Lawrence Fishburne has not been invited to be in The Matrix 4. His exact words were, I haven't been invited back, but I wish them well. I don't know what's going on there, but I mean, they have a different story, I'm sure, but Morpheus. Right? You know?
Yeah, it seems like he would, but it depends on what they're doing. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I've heard, inklings of what it might be about, but certain people coming back, but I don't know if he's important enough to be in this particular storyline. I don't know what the storyline is for sure, but I don't know.
So far I've only seen pictures of Trinity and Neo. No Agent Smith, we already know that because he had scheduling conflicts apparently. But I mean, of course we don't want a retelling of the other three movies, so it may be a good thing that we're not getting everybody back, but I'm like, it's Morpheus. Come on.
I feel like he's part of the trio, really. I mean, if you have Neo and Trinity, you kind of need to have some Morpheus, more so than I think anybody else.
Because what's Neo gonna do? Like, he doesn't know anything without Morpheus.
Yeah, but again, we don't really know the story completely, so we'd have to know that.
We have no idea.
So we're just assuming a lot, but I don't know. I would, if it was me, I would even say don't even put any of the people from the other three in there. I mean, do something.
Not even Neo?
No, I would take Neo out too.
Oh,
or I would do something completely new myself. I would take them all out, but otherwise it just doesn't feel, I don't know, it feels like they're just tacking on to what was already there, which felt like a complete story by the time you finished it. I mean, so I don't really think you need to, but that's just me.
Because then they would have to, I mean, because it's, right now, The Matrix 4, there's no third title. They would have to change that to The Matrix again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Reloaded's been used. Revolution's been used. So, yeah. Yeah, I just found that interesting. It made me a little sad because, we get him and you get excited when you see Fishburne and Neo together in the Wick movies. You're like, oh, shit. Neo and Morpheus back together again.
Right.
They're not.
No, not now, I guess. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, the things could happen, Maybe they'll invite him down the line, a special cameo. Moving on here. So HBO Max, the streaming service, launched. I will tread carefully here. There was, DC Universe was an existing thing for all the DC content. And HBO Max is owned, or DC is owned by Warner Brothers, so is HBO owned by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is the parent company. Well, I don't know if it's the numbers, which I'm thinking it is, or the lack of content-ish on HBO Max currently. But all of the DC original shows are going over to HBO Max, and their new season, etc., and everything will be starting on HBO Max, as opposed to DC, which means Titans, Swamp Thing, etc., Doom Patrol, all their original shows are gonna go onto HBO Max. Now, I saw this coming. I think I might have even said it on the show, because there's no reason for. I mean, what do you think of this?
You already know how I feel about all these different services. They just need to plop them all together.
Let's discuss the Showbiz then, because let's discuss the Showbiz. So, what you just said is absolutely true. There are just too many streaming services. Mm-hmm. It's like now there's so many that they're eating themselves now.
Yes.
It's like, well, we need some because there was already HBO Go, which was its own little streaming service that streamed everything that was on HBO. And now there's HBO Max, and they're like, well, we need more stuff, so gobble, gobble, gobble our little smaller DC universe, and all of their content belongs to us. Where does it end?
I don't know. What they need to do is they need to find out a way that there's just one. Okay, there's just one massive unit that you can just log into, and then bam, you have access to everything. But when you watch something, like a bigger portion of like whatever your subscription fee is will go to the owner, the company that owns that particular, franchise or whatever. So it's all. I mean, they're still getting their piece. If you happen to only watch DC stuff, then maybe the majority of your subscription goes to that. It goes to the company that owns DC. And so on and so forth. So that's how I think they should do it, instead of having all these separate, things.
So like one streaming service to rule them all.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Like maybe, I don't know, in the future, Disney just owns everything. They have, everything under that tree. Like, so yeah, when you watch old episodes of The Sopranos, the HBO folks get some extra cash. And I see what you're saying. I got you.
Everybody gets their piece, Even if somebody isn't watching it, like maybe we'll just use DC as an example. Maybe no one's watching those shows. They still get a portion, even if no one's watching it. But if somebody does watch it, they get a little bit extra, so they're still making money instead of just losing, being on their own out there floating, in a boat. No one's willing to go out and save them.
Oh, they've been eaten. They've been eaten by by the well. But yeah, I see what you're saying. I think it's absurd. I'm done. I don't think we need any more. Apple TV, Hulu, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Netflix, Vudu.
Yeah. Even Full Moon has a streaming service. So yeah.
Shutter.
There's too many.
And they just keep coming. Oh man, I like the niche ones though, because a lot of them overlap. You can watch this and this and this and this on all of them. But I keep saying Shudder, I think it's cool. I think the idea of I can go and find any horror movie I want on this, on this streaming service. And even Quibi has its own place, because it's not just copying the same, it tried to make a whole new format and a whole new, system. So I like the idea of the niche ones, but it's just when we get the same over and over again.
Yeah, that is a really good point. I would feel like the smaller ones wouldn't have a chance if something big came along and swallowed them up. They may not get, the same opportunities. And I would like to, and I do enjoy those, I want to say oddball films, I guess. The ones that don't fit into everybody's little, folder of what a movie should be. And I would miss those if we didn't get them. So yeah.
Give me Trauma. Trauma needs a streaming service. I'd subscribe to that for $5.99 at least for 1 month. Toxic Crusader.
Well, they got one subscriber. There you go.
That'll bring us to trailers. Are you first with me, sir?
Go ahead.
Mine is a simple little fun. It takes me back to the days of Dennis the Menace, I think is why I like this one. It's called War with Grandpa. Oh, Robert De Niro is playing the grandfather of a kid. I guess he's not able to take care of himself as good anymore. So they move him in to their house, his daughter and son-in-law move him into their house, and he gets his grandson's room, and his grandson gets moved into the attic. His grandson is not happy with that, and the war commences. They're pulling pranks on each other. He gets his old friend. One of them is why do I have the old man? Christopher Walken. There we go. One of them is Christopher Walken, and they all get together and do pranks on the kid, and it's just good old-fashioned movie fun. Like I said, it takes me back to Dennis the Menace and Mr. Wilson going at it toe-to-toe. But it's grandfather and grandson. It's called War with Grandpa. What about you, sir?
Mine I actually saw right before I watched this week's movie. And it actually made a lot of sense to me that, it was before the movie. And it obviously grabbed me because I picked it as my trailer. It's called Religulous. It probably sounds funny, but I'm not saying religious. I'm saying Religulous. It has Bill Maher. It's a documentary style comedy. He is basically going around discussing. He's playing devil's advocate, and he's discussing religion with different people who are big into their religions. And it is very comical. And I want to warn people if they I guess if they get butthurt when people talk about their religion, maybe this isn't going to be the documentary for you. But I think it's great because it's opening up the conversation that a lot of people, like I say, may get offended by or feel butthurt by. So this is a good thing. It's opening up the conversation about religion and what it means to everybody. And, sometimes it sounds ridiculous and sometimes it makes a lot of sense. But I think this is a great venue to be able to tackle some of those questions without, again, being all butthurt because
is this a newer one?
This is actually an older one. This goes back in the day. So I'm pulling this one out of the old trailer box so people can give it a second look if they missed it the first time. And if it looks good to you, you can check out the actual film.
I will definitely do that because I have not seen this one. And I love talking to my TV about religion because no one else normally turns to arguments when you talk to people in public about it. So
yes.
But yeah, that will bring us to Red State. Watchbot, if you would not mind.
3 horny teenagers, Travis, Michael Angarano, Jared, Kyle Gallner, and Billy Ray Nicholas Braun, can't believe their luck when they meet a woman online who says she wants to hook up with all 3 of them at once. But the promise of sex is a trap, and the boys find themselves in the hands of a bin Cooper, Michael Parks, a lunatic preacher who spews so much hatred that even neo-Nazis stay away. Cooper means to kill the trio for their sins, prompting a desperate bid for escape.
Thank you, Watchbot. As I said before, this one came out of the blue. If you went into this one without having seen the trailer, just like, oh, Kevin Smith wrote and directed this, and you sat down. By the time you get to the 15-minute mark, you're like, where the fuck is Jay and Silent Bob? What's going on here? This is not your dad's Kevin Smith movie. This is not a stoner flick. This one came about. He had. What happened?
Well, I was just saying, you definitely don't want to watch this one high.
No.
This would be a scary trip for you.
Yeah. This one came about with when he was he was taking out one of his movies, and the Westboro Baptist Church folks, Fred Phelps and them, God hates blank, came out and they were protesting him and all that stuff. He got the idea from that to create a fictitious version of that family, and put them, and basically created this movie around that idea. And what we got was, I think, sure genius. It's like a horror movie, slash Punisher. Like, I don't know how to describe this film, but I love it. I think it's, and it goes a place where you don't think it's going to go towards the end. But I really enjoyed what he did with this, and I was happy to see him say, flex those writing muscles and say, you know what, I can do something else. Screw you. What'd you think of this one, sir?
Yeah, this is definitely for me a standout piece from him. It tackles a lot. I feel like it's, I don't want to say overly ambitious, but I think it's just the right level of ambitious without taking it too far. But it tackles so many different subjects. It tackles religion. It tackles government, its place in society. It tackles homosexuality. It tackles teenage sex. It tackles domestic terrorism. It tackles catfishing. I mean, it just goes on and on and on with all these really almost, I don't want to say touchy subjects, but things that people feel really passionate about. And it just jams them all into one movie. And it does it, and it actually works for me anyway. I feel like it worked. Yeah. I don't feel like it was like mind blowing in a way that would turn people off. But it definitely makes you think as you're watching it, because you see all these things interacting with each other that you wouldn't normally think would be jam packed in together, And I don't really even see, like, it was hard for me to pick like a definite hero. I was looking for the hero and the villain. Yeah,
there isn't really one.
It's really hard. There isn't. I mean, it's. I guess you could like one character more than another, or feel sorry for this character or that character, but there isn't really overwhelmingly a hero and a villain. This is a movie. Everybody is basically in the same boat.
Yeah, it kind of shows that everyone, in a sense, can be morally corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone has it in them, even if they think they're doing the right thing. You still, but yeah, three horny teens go looking for sex in some kind of sex ad thing, and they get bamboozled by this Cooper family.
That right there, that sounds like a funny movie, but that's not what we saw. That's not what we got. That's just,
and it kind of give rings of a slasher almost at first, because you're like, okay, something's gonna go down. They're gonna run into some monster, maybe a walrus who used to be a human. But no, that is not the case. They get like, and I would the way she was forcing people to drink. I'm gonna have you inside me. You gotta have at least 2 beers.
I was like, dude, what's that gonna do? It's not even gonna quench your thirst. You're gonna want 2 more.
Yeah. But yeah, I would have been a little suspicious there myself. And come on, those were not her bosoms. When you got to that trailer, you looked at that woman and looked at the picture.
That is a good point. I didn't really catch on that. I was just too busy wondering when the heck it's about to happen next.
Sorry, maybe I went a little overboard there, but yeah, they were. But and then your friends start passing out, you pass out. But waking up, but what comes next after that little setup, you don't expect, and this is where everything changes. The switch comes on, and you get one of the greatest performances I've ever seen from Mr. Michael Parks, R.I.P. He has passed away. But good Lord, you are just mesmerized as this guy, who actually Quentin Tarantino started using him after this. He was the sheriff in Kill Bill and a couple other things. But you start he starts this monologue and he just has this voice about him, and he's just like he's a little Southern, even he's a little Southern himself, but at the same time he mocks other Southern people. I get to see myself on TV, and stuff like that. And the whole time, for me anyway, I'm just glued to what this dude's doing, what he's saying, his random little outbursts, and I loved it. What did you think of Mr. Michael Parks?
Mr. Parks, yes, his performance was amazing. He was the best character for me out of the entire movie. Obviously, I feel like it was his movie, basically, from start to finish. And he's in the very, very start of the movie, just standing there, and then at the very end, you get him, and then with that great line at the end. But he owned this movie.
Yeah, and I'm sure Kevin wrote it that way for him to, because he knew what he was capable of. But to actually have it delivered, because it's a good 4 to 5 minute monologue, and you're hanging on every word, because while he's talking, there's a kid in a cage and a guy fucking saran wrapped to a cross in a church.
Yeah, they never set up that guy though. I have no idea who that dude was.
I think he was just a random that they were gonna sacrifice before the kiddos, but they got lucky with the kids. But yeah, this church cleansed, as John Goodman's character, who is brilliant in this as well. John Goodman's character said, the Phelps are doers, or are sewers. These guys are doers. Because the Phelps are known to sue people. So allegedly the Phelps are sewers. And these guys are doers because, so these guys would actually kidnap people who they found morally despicable and freaking put on a service and kill them. What does Popeye do? I couldn't get enough of him. I wanted to see more and more, even though he was clearly the ultimate villain of this. Cause like Robert said, everyone's pretty bad. The kids went out looking for sex. I guess he thinks he's doing the right thing by cleansing the world for God. But yeah, it's just fantastic. And then it just spirals from there, cause I hadn't seen a guy kill that way before.
Right. That was different. Good. Go get him saran wrap.
Yeah. Go. Oh man. And gotta take my hat off to Ralph Garman, who does Hollywood Babylon with Kevin. He played Caleb the Mute, who never says a word in this movie, but he was menacing as hell. Like when he, Caleb, he went a little bit too far. So he goes and gets a little prod and cattle prod and prods the kid, and then when he chases down the kid, he looks intimidating, even though, Ralph is, if you've seen Yoga Hosers, the man of 1,000 voices. But yeah. Any standout characters for this, sir? I guess Parks, but other than Parks,
besides Parks, not. I guess really. Goodman was awesome. Of course, I think Stephen Root did a really good job as a sheriff. He played that kind of nervous. Well, obviously, he was nervous, but just kind of whacked out sheriff. Not your normal sheriff in a movie. Kind of a less professional version of a sheriff, for obvious reasons, without giving away too much. I thought it was funny.
Towns.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny to see Kevin Pollak in there, because I always
love Kevin Pollak though.
I always see him as that second fiddle to Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men. And just to see and then to see him again was just kind of funny, even though he didn't last in the movie very long, which was I think they lost something there, because he could have brought something to it. The kids, the 3 main kids that we were supposed to be following in the beginning of the movie, though, I think I do like those 2 of the actors I'm familiar with out of the 3, but I don't think they really did anything outside of were fodder for the murderous religious cult. I don't think they brought anything to the film that was really extraordinary. Even the other kids, the young girl who was like the older daughter, and the I don't want to call it a cult, but I guess it's a cult. She didn't really, she was good, but she didn't really bring a whole lot. And there wasn't really a whole lot of character development amongst those younger people. I feel like it was all about Parks and even Goodman.
I think they were supposed to be those, like, the misdirection characters, you know, like this is their movie, but all of a sudden, bam, you know, son of a bitch, he wasn't supposed to die.
Yeah, so I don't think nobody really stood out besides Parks and maybe a little bit of Goodman.
Yeah. I really like Goodman in this. I think he, cause I hadn't seen him for a while back in 2011 when I saw this. But yeah, I think Parks was pretty fantastic. Like he stole the show. Cause you put the camera on anyone else and you're just waiting for Goodman or Parks to come back and you're like, son of a bitch. Yep. I need to hear more of this guy. But this movie takes a turn even from there. It goes from murderous church to this insane shootout.
They went Waco, Texas, basically.
Yeah. Like everyone's talking, like we're waiting on people to come out. Like they're waiting on the Coopers to come out of their church, and all of a sudden, blam! There goes Kevin Pollak, and we see the camera, very Quentin Tarantino style, zooms to Parks. Come on. The mayhem starts from there, and it doesn't stop for quite some time. But the whole time, the story's still, he does a great job. The story's still continuing because we're having these little moments. We're getting the moral dilemma from Goodman's character. Of course, the child and the family. I guess I'm trying not to say too much because this is one you should watch, in my opinion. But the elder daughter is trying to get the kids out and abandon this church, and she has issues with that. Of course, one of the kids is still alive at this point, and he wants to, you know. So yeah, I liked. He did a great job of continuing the story amongst this crazy shootout. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, I do enjoy how it just rolled and like basically over you towards the end of the movie. It's like you don't really see a lot of that coming, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get this. It almost does. It tries to kind of like when Tarantino did From Dusk Till Dawn, and there's kind of like a flip. It goes from like this, you know, crime drama into this monster, you know, horror flick, and this one kind of does that, but like less, like not as extreme. I guess it's more realistic, and it's, you know, and it's flipped. But I mean, I do like that, and he does it a couple times, and I did enjoy that. It added something to the movie. It wasn't like everything else that I had seen. I think Kevin Smith did a decent job of not doing his normal stick and tackling something else. I mean,
yeah, if I didn't go to the showing for this where he did a Q&A and showed this movie, and I just went to a theater and saw, oh, Red State, that looks interesting, I wouldn't have put him with this movie at all. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have crossed my mind that he did that, and then I would have saw written and directed by Kevin Smith at the end, like, whoa, what? But then we get even more. It's not over. All of a sudden, during this massive shootout, the horns of fucking Gabriel.
Yes.
And you're like, what? Are they right? Are Ben Affleck and Matt Damon about to come down to this guy? That's a Dogma reference for those who didn't get it.
That was a great touch. I also like to point out it actually showed the horn at the very beginning of the movie.
Yes.
So I thought that was great, because the first time I seen it, I didn't notice it whatsoever, but this time I definitely saw it. I was like, wow, that's, good job giving us that little hint beforehand.
I was like blown away the first time I saw this. I was like, what is going on here? Like, because I guess we shouldn't go too far into it, because that's like the biggest twist of them all. But still, yeah, that just took my breath away. I was like, oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Because he's known to go that extra step, shit monster. So. Do you have Rotten Tomatoes for this one put up, sir?
I do. Critics gave this a 60%. And the audience score, however, is a little bit lower. It's at 54%.
Whoa.
So audiences did not love this so much. I think the critics maybe got it a little bit more.
Man, did not expect that.
Yeah.
But
I feel like
this is not his norm. So
Yeah.
his fans probably wouldn't saw this and were like, "This isn't,"
Yeah. that can be a struggle when you try to do something new and people are used to one thing. So, but
Yeah.
I still think he did the right thing, branching out and wanting to explore another thing other than what people were used to. I think this is still an accomplishment in my mind.
Because you don't want to make the same thing over and over and over again. Not to say that that's what he does.
That's what Hollywood does.
I'm fucking sure.
I like the movie because it's all about beliefs. And everybody, despite the fact that they could, I'm not going to say they are wrong or right, but they could be wrong, everybody still holds to their beliefs. Even the teenage boys who just want to get laid, they feel like that's perfectly fine. Even though any other sane person would be like, you don't get two of your buddies and then go, try to have sex with somebody. That's not, a normal thing to do, but they held to their beliefs. I mean, the government, despite the fact that, they were,
Goodman comes off as a good cop.
Yeah, but then that quickly flips. They were like, "We'll do this instead," and he follows orders. And the religious people, you think, well, religion is good, religion is great, but then you see there's people who twist it and take it a little bit too far and can turn it into something dark and evil. So, I mean, but still, people held to their beliefs, even though not everybody agrees with them. That's for me, what the whole movie was about. Just everybody's different point of view, despite.
And like those everyone has those glass walls and you think you won't go past them, but this movie shattered them all.
Yep.
So real quick, a friend with the lady is called Wobbly H. What happens when you add another friend in there?
Say again.
Different podcast where you can find us. You can find us at GoWatchAMovie.com, the one-stop shop for all things entertainment. The news is there, the trailers are there, et cetera, et cetera. You can find us anywhere a podcast can be played. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, any other of those podcatchers, and YouTube, of course, for the YouTube show. Thank you for everyone who has been turning out to that. I try to make it entertaining by adding the little effects and things, so thank you for everyone who's noticed those and said something. Appreciate that so much. Yeah, but that's episode 148, or 46. We continue next week and end our month with Robert's Next Choice, which you'll have to stay tuned on the same Go Watch channel, what did he used to say? I fucked that all up. But just watch next week when we do Roberts. I'm Kelvin.
And I'm Robert.
Go watch a movie. Grab your popcorn, rip that ticket. Get in that seat, lickety-splicket. Go watch a movie!